ESV Study Bible. I mean, most of them have their own, and with different authors and committees. And I'm not going to bias you as to which specific author or committees are good or not. You can investigate that for yourselves in terms of, look at the contents, if there's good information, background on the text, that would be good. So part of the first task is you need to see the historical context of the book that you're reading, and that's going to be different from book to book. And historical context is what is the time and culture of the author and his readers. So you need to know some personal backgrounds of the different authors, the differences of the cities, like in Corinth and Philippi, how these are different and how that's going to affect the way you interpret the text. Or even the customs. What is a denarius? How much is it worth? It's worth 1 full day's wage. So information like that would be helpful to get. Also, from the study Bibles or whatever research Bibles you can have, you can get the occasion and purpose of each book, what was going on in Israel, in the church, why is that occasion crucial to 1 Corinthians than it is to Proverbs. I mean, they all have different settings, different occasions. And a lot of these, even without the study Bible, you can actually read it from the biblical book itself. You can figure it out. It just takes work. It just takes study. It's going to take more than devotional study if you want to figure this out further. Other than historical, you have the literary context. And that's the part where we can do, what you don't need experts for that. Literary context, it's more of, if you have a sentence or in a book, the meaning can only be clear if you figure out what it says before that and after that. I'm sure you're all familiar with context. And other than before and after that, how about the whole chapter? Or how about the whole book? You kind of need to know the whole thing to make the things clear, to find out the logic within the verse. For example, you're a famous author. You're called to appear with another well-known person who's not very Christian in terms of orthodoxy. Maybe it's a totally different denomination that doesn't believe in certain things. So you flip your Bible and you go, abstain from every form or appearance of evil. So you go, does that mean I shouldn't do this conference? Because I don't want to appear like I'm going to be with this character. I'm going to be associated with this person, and I'm going to be, I'm not going to be a good Christian example because I'm with this person. But if you read the literary context, meaning if you read the verses above that, it would say, do not quench the spirit, do not despise prophecies, but test everything, hold fast to what is good, abstain from every form of evil. So what is the passage about within the context?
Discernment?
Discernment, that's right.
At least from 21st,
I mean, it relates to whatever it is behind it, right? It's related to testing everything, not despising prophecies, quenching the spirit. So it's more related to prophetic notions. The original setting, it's all about prophecies and the way you need to discern whether it's true or not. So it has nothing to do with whether you can attend or do this conference with this speaker or not. You see, because the application is so different from the interpretation, from the original intention. You kind of get that? It goes too far, that application. So, is that clear or not totally? Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's saying, do not quench the spirit, do not despise prophecy. So the language here, I guess what's happening in this time is, in the Thessalonian church, there were people who prophesy And some people might be saying, oh, we don't want people who prophesy, we don't want to do that. Instead, he's saying, test it and hold fast to what is good. It's not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to throw that away. Don't reject that. But you need to test it, and you abstain from whatever is not right. It's more related to that. The verse doesn't stand alone by itself. A lot of verses never stand alone by itself. And a lot of people act like they do. They read it and it's like, oh, and that's what it means for my life. But no, there's a logic. There's a reason why it's there. It relates to the other passages there, and there's a certain logic that the author is trying to say. So that's partly what I'm doing. There's more that can be said there, but I'm not going through that. But my only main message is it's connected. They're never just standalones, unless you're reading Proverbs. But they're more of a standalone thing by themselves. But still, there's still a logic there. Another example. This one's a different example. So, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. What do we normally hear today? If you don't read the context, or if you don't even read the verse, you go, the love of money is what? Or money is
money is the root of all evil.
Or money is the root of all evil.
Right.
But what does it say?
The love.
Love money is a root of all evil. It's not even the root of evil. It's
One of them.
It's one of them. So, but I think normally people already have in their heads, money is the root of all evil. So without
It's just said so much that it becomes like a truth for the general public, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not.
And then this one I found interesting. I'm sure you're all familiar with the love chapter in 1 Corinthians, often used for weddings. But if you read the context, the chapter before, the chapter after, the chapter before, it's the church arguing about spiritual gifts and the variety of gifts. So Paul is like, hey, you're arguing, you're making like you don't need one another. The foot doesn't need the head doesn't need the arm. And he's saying, no, that's not the case. And then in the next chapter, it's about concern for orderly worship. Because the church is not getting along. They're not very organized. So why do you think they do 1 Corinthians 13 then?
I'm sure they love each other.
To encourage
Love each other.
love.
Yeah.
So the context is it's a church that's not getting along. So you're going to introduce 1 Corinthians 13 to have people love each other. So it's not necessarily a wedding. It's more of church conflict. That's what the passage is about. And I'm not saying that you can't use it for a wedding. I mean, it's great. I'm saying is you just need to be aware that there is a context. There is a specific place that and reason why Paul used that chapter. So, am I going too fast or is it too slow? Is it
Good.
It's okay. All right. So next, we talked about. I'm still talking about hearing what it means back then. So item 1 was historical context. Item 2 was literary context. This is item 3. We're now looking at content.